Hello and welcome to Smile Diaries. Guess who I have here today on my show? My amazing, handsome husband, who is the best orthodontist in town, Dr. Marc Pana. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming down, and I dragged you here on your lunch hour.
Yeah.
I know you have to
In between patients.
In between patients. We're being real efficient.
That's right. Let's get it done.
Let's get this done. How are you?
I'm good.
How was your morning?
Tiring, but good.
Did you see a lot
Busy.
of patients?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Crazy, huh? So I wanted to have you on because we get so many questions from so many people, and I get DMs all the time and questions from patients and friends on how did we meet? How do we work together? How do we make it work? It's been, how long have you been married?
15, going on 16.
15 years. That's crazy. So I just figured what's better than having you come down here? We can just chit chat about it and talk about it instead of me always answering the questions, right?
Amazing.
Yes. So I know you're excited. So let's talk about a little bit about how did we meet. Do you want me to tell a story, or would you like to? I'll let you tell the story. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I had a friend who was graduated dental school, and I was just graduating, and she called me and said, "Hey, I have a friend, and she wants to, some material on the California dental boards." So I said, "Sure, I have some information, and I'll be more than willing to share it with her." So I don't know if you called me or I called you. I don't know how that happened.
I think I got your number.
Yeah, you got my number and you gave me a call.
Yes.
And I wasn't too computer savvy at that time.
You still are.
And I'm still, yeah. Okay. So when you called and you said, okay, and there was a CD at that time, there was like CDs, and there was paperwork, and you said, well, can you just mail it to me?
Well, because I was in San Diego.
Right. You were in San Diego. I was in Los Angeles.
I didn't want to drive 2 hours.
Right. And I said no. And the reason behind the no was not to be like rude, but the reason behind the no was that I had to explain things to you. You wouldn't understand, how to interpret what was on the CD and on the test.
It was kind of a sharp no.
Yeah.
It was like a no.
Right. I was busy, I think.
I was a little standoffish. But
Well, I didn't know you. And I wasn't
I was just asking for a copy of material. I wasn't asking to marry you at that point, nor to go out on a date.
You had a fiance at the time.
I was engaged,
and
yes.
I had a girlfriend at the time.
That's true.
So you agreed to come down, you came down, and we met at Starbucks. And
in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, you came with your fiance, and we sat down for a couple of hours. I explained the material to you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it. Goodbye, good luck, taking the exam. And then 2 weeks later, I got some more good information.
You got some new insightful stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was nice enough
So sweet.
to call you and tell you that, hey, I have more information. And
Now,
I still can't mail it to you.
Were you trying to help me, or were you like,
no, I was definitely trying to help you. I was trying to be a nice guy.
Yeah,
I'm a nice guy. So,
you are a nice guy.
So I was just trying to help you, and I knew that, you were going to take the exam. So, and I told you have to drive down again.
Yeah, you made me drive down again.
You came down again. And this time I think it was only for like 45 minutes. We hung out.
I shared Starbucks again.
Yes, I shared the information with you, and that was it for a good 2.5, close to 3 years.
Yeah. And then I left, and you did your thing. I did my thing.
Right. And I didn't even know. I think you texted me and said, hey, thank you. I did. I passed.
Yes.
And I said, that's
I
great.
texted you a thank you note.
Yeah. And then 3 years later, close to 3 years later, I had just finished my residency in orthodontics. So I was kind of like, celebrating a little bit. And me and two of my friends, actually, one was a boy and one was a girl. We decided to go to Vegas. And so Pure Nightclub,
Yeah.
My friend's like, hey, starts talking to this girl, and I didn't know the girl. I didn't know who she was. But apparently you were friends with this girl.
Right.
And, and so you were standing there while they're talking. You're standing there, and I'm standing there. And I'm like, God, this girl really looks familiar. And I think a couple of times you said, hey, do I know you from this place, or do I know you from that place? And I was like, no. And I'm really good with faces. Names, not so much.
Right.
But if I see a face, I'll remember that face.
You remembered my face.
I remembered your face. And so, lo and behold, I'm like, hey, aren't you a dentist? And you're like, yes. And I'm like, and that's where it clicked.
Yeah. I think I was with, I think like 5 other girls.
Yeah.
It was a girls' trip to Vegas. And and you were there. And I kept asking you, I'm like, I think maybe we've met at like this club or that club, or because, I was single too at that time and I was going out a lot. And then you kind of like figured it out at the end.
Well, yeah. So I said, hey, where's your husband? And you're like, oh, I'm single. I was like, oh.
I'm like, I never went through the wedding. So
yeah,
the runaway bride.
Right.
That was like my 3rd runaway.
Was it your 3rd or your 2nd?
My 2nd.
That was your 2nd, I think.
My 2nd. Okay.
Yeah, your 2nd engagement.
My 2nd. You were my 3rd.
I was your 3rd.
See, third time's a charm.
That's right.
It's right.
So we chatted just for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we're going to Town nightclub tomorrow night. If you guys want, drop by for some drinks. So we saw you the next night. But again, we just kind of
by.
Hello and little chatting here and there. Never exchanged numbers. And that was it.
You were very mysterious. You were, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out if you were trying to be polite or you just were not interested, because you just kind of sat in the club at Tao and you're just kind of sort of minding your own business. And you were with this other girl. So I thought you guys were together because you were just, sort of making sure she was okay. And so like after I think an hour, I was like, girls, we got to get out of here. Because you weren't really talking much. You were just sort of sitting there.
Yeah, I'm very laid back.
So yeah, you're so laid back.
I'm just a laid back kind of
You're
guy.
very laid back. Yeah.
So I like to let things come to me.
Okay. But
So-
I didn't come to you. I ended up leaving that night because I
Yes.
kind of got bored a little bit. I was like, all right, let's just get out of here, girls. And we ended up going to another club. But anyways, what happened after that?
So then, I don't know, it was like a month later.
Yeah.
Me and my same friend decided to go to Temptation in Orange County and didn't see you there the whole night except for at 2 a.m. by the valet. You're just walking in front of me, like literally in front of me. And I'm like, and I tapped you on the shoulder and I said, hi, hey, how are you? Nice to see you again. Again, chatted for just a little bit, never exchanged numbers, and
Did
we
we
were
not
off.
exchange numbers that night?
No, we did not
didn't.
exchange
You're
numbers
right.
that night.
You're right. I just said, hi, what are you doing here? And then I left.
Right, and then, by now, on the way home, I remember that drive home, I was thinking to myself, why didn't I ask her for her number?
Well, were you interested?
At that point, I was.
Yeah.
And so...
But were you scared to ask me out?
I don't know.
Were you
I don't know if
intimidated?
I was scared. I don't know if I was scared. No, I wasn't intimidated. But I wasn't, I was just like, hey, I want it to like happen naturally. But this is as natural as it's going to get.
It's called asking someone out on a date.
So then...
Were you expecting me to like fall in your lap
right,
naturally, like from the sky?
No, I was just expecting you to say, hey, here's my number.
No, I would never. I have never in my life came on to anybody. I've never chased anyone, nor have I handed my number to anyone. So, and you probably would have had to ask a few times to get my number.
So then I think 3 weeks went by.
Yeah.
And I was at a nightclub in Los Angeles and I was with, a bunch of my friends and we were literally standing in a circle with no one in between us. And I see this girl come say, excuse me. And she walking right in the middle. And I'm like, hey, I know you. So that's when I tapped you on the shoulder.
You've tapped me so many times on the shoulders.
Right. And then we, that night, we actually chatted for a while. And And I said, okay, I'm going to ask her for a number. So I said, hey, you mind giving me your number? We keep on running into each other. It was kind of becoming like a joke that we kept on running into each other. So I got your number and went to meet up with my friends upstairs, and you were downstairs. And I'm telling my friend the story, and my friend is like, why don't you text her and invite her upstairs and you guys can hang out? And I'm like, yeah. So that's when I texted you and I said, hey, would you like to dance, hang out? And you've said sure. And then we hung out that whole night, basically.
Yeah, we danced.
Yeah.
And then, and then after that, we ran into each other again a couple more times. And then I remember that summer I ended up going to Lebanon.
Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Oh, geez. Okay, go ahead.
So,
shoot, what are you about to say?
Before you left, I had a conversation with you over the phone because I was starting to really, wanted to get serious with you.
Right.
And I had a conversation with you over the phone, and I said,
what did I say?
Hey, are you dating me only, or are you just dating?
But we weren't really dating.
Well, we had gone out on a couple of dates.
Okay.
Well, not a couple of dates. We had gone out on a few dates. We had met up in Las Vegas, maybe once or
those
twice.
Were not dates.
Okay,
I happened to be in Vegas. You happened to be in Vegas.
You say tomato,
and plus,
I say tomato.
What you thought was our first date. You were moving to Orange County, and I was working for this big company, and I said, hey guys, we have this great, amazing orthodontist. Like, let's get him an interview, and I think he would move down from LA. This is before we opened the office, obviously. And then I had gotten you an interview, and you had invited me that night to go to dinner. So all I'm thinking in my head is it's just like a thank you for getting me the interview sort of thing. So when I went out with you that night, which you thought was a date, I didn't think in my head was a date. I just thought it was like a friendly, here, let me take you out to dinner. You got me this interview. And it did,
So you're laid back too.
No, I just didn't assume anything. And I think in my mind, it wasn't really dating.
Well, I was,
sort of like, I'm going out. He's, thank you dinner. He's being sweet. Like, that's just what I thought. But
okay, well,
yeah, so
yeah. I was getting to a point where in my heart, I felt like, okay, I want to get serious with this girl.
Oh.
So I asked you that question and you said, I'm kind of dating.
Yeah.
Not just you, I'm dating another guy.
I was.
So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play that game. So let's just stay friends.
Well, I think what happened is you had invited me up to come to LA one night. And I said, okay, I will. And I canceled the last minute. And I think you were, I flaked. I think I texted you like a couple hours before and I said, I can't make it. And I think you got really upset and hurt at me. And because I heard that.
So that's why I was.
And so that's, I think when you were like, hey, are you dating other people? And I was like, yeah, I am. I have someone else.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being honest at that point. But so I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to stay friends with her. I'm not going to, pursue romance. And so we stayed friends for a while. And then you went to Lebanon for the summer. Like after how many years? Like 10 years, right? I think it was
like after a decade, I decided to go back home. And
so when you were there, that's when the war happened.
Well, yeah.
And when that happened,
hell broke loose again.
I was like, wow, she's in the middle of this war. So I started trying to call you, and finally I got a hold of you. And I called you probably, a few times just to check up on you. And then when you came back, we still stayed friends. Yeah. And then one night I was with my buddy at a nightclub, and I got a text at like 1:30-ish in the morning saying, do you want to have coffee? And I turn around to my friend and I'm like, I got to go.
You're like, bye guys.
And we had a table and, he's like, no, I don't want to leave. And I said, no, I have to go.
And you're like, I have to go. I have to drive to Orange County. Yeah.
So that night I drove to Orange County.
Well, that night I was partying in San Diego.
Right.
I was at a club in San Diego, and then I don't know, it's like light bulb hit me at 1:30 a.m. in the morning. I was like, oh, you know what? I just maybe he's meant to be. Maybe this is the guy. Like, he's just so nice. And let me just text him and let's just have coffee. So I drove. When I texted you, I was like, you were like, well, I'm in LA right now. And I said, well, I'm in San Diego, actually. So let's meet back up in Orange County. And we met in Laguna Beach. There was nothing, I think by the time we got there, it was like 3 a.m. and there was nothing open but a gas station and like nasty coffee.
Yeah.
So we grabbed that coffee.
PCH and Broadway.
Yeah. And we sat on the bench and we talked for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then 6 o'clock, you went back home and I went to my place. And I think we just started dating after that.
We started dating after that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 2 months later, you proposed.
Yes. So we went to Cabo.
Yeah, we were in Cabo, and then you went down on one knee. And I had told you several times, don't propose to me. Yeah. I'm not ready. And
I mean, when you're in your early 30s,
yeah,
you know the kind of woman you want. So I knew. So
you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you proposed, and I thought you were kidding, and I was like, get the F up, because I thought you were joking, and then you opened the box, and there was this pretty ring, and
it's
yeah.
fate.
It was fate, yeah. And then within a year, we got married, we bought a house, we opened a practice, and a year later, I was pregnant with Kayla. So yeah, it just boom, boom, boom. There was no like downtime at all. We just kind of banged it out.
We passed that downtime. We had our downtime in our mid to late 20s.
We cranked it out. We're like, no, we're just not time to joke around right now. Yeah. We got to open office. We got to get pregnant. Time. We got to let's do it. And so I know I get a lot of questions about, how do we work together all the time in the office? And so, I just think it's interesting because, you have your section of the office, I have my section of the office. It's almost like two different entities. But do you want to elaborate on that? How is it working with me?
I mean, I don't really even see you that much.
Yeah.
The only time is when I'm like heading out and I'll come up to you and I'll say, hey.
To your 2-hour lunch.
My 2-hour lunch. I'll say, hey, I'm going out to lunch. Do you want me to get you some
No. Let's just be truthful here. Let's just
for
be
the
honest.
past.
So for maybe like 13, 14 years, you never asked me if I wanted, you just sort of left. You would just always leave the office. And I would get out after I've been working like crazy and drenched in saliva and whatnot. I'll be like, where's Dr. Pana, you guys? And they're like, oh, he left 2 hours ago. He went to the gym, lunch and whatnot. And then you would come back all relaxed. Your skin is all refreshed and glowing because you would work out in the gym. You would take your shower and you would moisturize.
I love to moisturize.
Yes, you and your moisturizer, you love moisturizing. And you would come back and you would be so laid back and relaxed in your office and like, I'm ready for round 2 of my day. And meanwhile, I was starving, not had any lunch.
But at that time, I wasn't eating lunch myself. I would go to the gym, work out, shower, moisturize,
you're not big on eating.
and come back to work.
But anyways, so sometimes it was a little hurtful. Like, you didn't ask me if I'm hungry and if I want to eat. And so, but now you're getting better because I think I gave you so much crap about that,
Right.
And I would get mad because I would get hangry, right? So I would, usually my lunch hour is from 1 to 2, and I usually will work through my lunch hour. And like around 1:45, I'm hangry. Like I'm just literally want to like kill someone, right? And then you walk in and you're all like, la, 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 la. And I'm like, did he not think about asking me if I wanted lunch? And I remember one time walking in your office and I shut the door and I just went off on you. Do you remember that? I was like, you don't ask me.
Which time?
Which time? So many times. And I was like, you don't ask me if I want a lunch and la la la, and you had 2 hours and don't you see me? I'm hustling and busting my butt and you would be nice if you bring me lunch. And then finally you started asking me. I think you're now scared to leave the office without asking me if I want lunch.
I'll text you 3 times. I'll call the office. I'm like, please get her and ask her what she wants.
Yeah.
She's not calling me back. I'm stressed.
Well, because you leave and I'm still with a patient. So obviously I don't have my phone. I'm working and then my gloves are on. I'm drilling. And then you call me. And then sometimes you come back without lunch. And I go, where's my lunch? And you're like, well, you didn't answer the phone. And I go, well, I'm working on it. So I started getting angry about that because I figured you need to call the staff and say, hey, can you ask Dr. Harb what she wants for lunch? But now you're learning. You're getting better.
Well, besides the lunch, I think we get we work fine together.
We work fine together. Well, the good thing about it is that you have your orthodontic department, which, that's your specialty. I have my cosmetic department, which is my specialty. We don't get in each other's way. Although sometimes we work on, maybe mutual patients or whatnot,
Yeah.
but typically you have your thing, you're doing your thing, I do my thing. I think what makes it hard working together, the hard part for me anyways, to answer that question is when we bring work home. And sometimes we have to do that. It's not like we do it on purpose, but I feel like because we can't talk so much at work because you're busy with your patients running around, I'm busy with my patients. And so the end of the day, you pick up the kids or I pick up the kids or whatnot. And so there's no time almost like in the office to discuss certain things. And so I get home sometimes and I'm like, well, what happened with this case or that case, or what happened with this employee or that employee, or what happened? And I think that's probably the bad part about working together is we do discuss work sometimes at home. But
sometimes we have no choice.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it has to be done at some point. And so we do it and we're done.
Yeah. But sometimes, either early in the morning when I'm up at 5, you come down and we're having coffee and we're discussing work. And sometimes we get angry at each other a little bit. But the other thing is, I think, we try as far as, another question is how do we keep things exciting and sort of going? And I think really what I try on my part to do is when we do go out I try to make date nights a priority for us. So for me, working all week, I have to go out on the weekend. I have to, get myself ready. I love looking good and I love going out and having a good time. But sometimes, you're driving on date night and we're going out and I remember something, right, from work. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to ask him about this or that. And so I kind of want to talk about it. And then I hold myself back, and I'm like, I don't want to ruin the night because this is obviously going to start now talking about business and things like that. So I think it's important that when we do go out on date nights, we usually try not to talk about work.
Yeah.
It's usually
when
fun
I get
stuff.
home, I try to leave work behind. Obviously, there's some, once in a while, there's an emergency. You want to call the patient, make sure they're
Right.
okay, give them some, advice on what to do. But when you're out, you want to enjoy each other. You want to enjoy the company you're with. Have a nice drink, and just enjoy the night. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel there's anything at work that has to be talked about like that night or at that moment. Yeah. So that's just the way I feel about things. But but you're go.
I'm go. We're opposite. I think we're very opposite in our 100% opposite in our personalities.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. You don't know how to relax, whereas I'm really good at it.
You're the expert. I think you should start some master classes on how to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close your eyes.
Turn the TV on.
Turn the TV on and just zone out.
Yeah. Well, I can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
No, I can't do that.
Well, that's why I think we ended up together, right?
Probably.
Maybe. We're even on the days though that you end up staying home and, every weekend we've been doing something. And that one weekend, in 4 months that we stay home, you also are like, you know what? I needed this.
Right.
Like, I'm so glad that we stayed home. But that day, even at home, I can see it in your eyes. Like, you're getting antsy. You're like, I need to go do something. I need to closet. Let me go get the closet, or let's go. Let's just go to the mall for an hour. And for something that you need to do, you want to take the whole family to the mall for an hour because you need to go to the mall. And I'm, honey, it's okay. You can go by yourself, enjoy your little,
Well, okay. I mean, this whole taking the whole family to the mall, for years and years. I mean, we've been married for 14 years. We've been married for 15. Kayla's now 14, right?
Yeah.
We've been married for almost 16 years. The whole thing about taking the family to the mall is I love being with the kids. Like they're my world, right? So if I'm away from them during work, which I mean, they're in school, so it's not like I'm away from them, but even the 2 hours sometimes between 3 o'clock when they get out and 5, those 2 hours, if I'm away from them, it's hard on me, right? So on the weekend, I want to soak them in. Like I want every second with them. So when I get up on Saturday or Sunday and I go, well, I gotta go like look for a dress or whatnot, and let's all go to the mall together. It's because I really want to be with all of you guys. And I think it wasn't until a year ago that I really started learning to do things for myself. I mean, I think we went through probably 13, 14 years where everything I did was about you and the kids and the family. And I never really did much for myself. So now that the kids are a little bit older, I'm learning to step away a little bit. And I went on my girls trip for the first time last year, which was, a big deal. But I've never really like left your side nor the kids' side. So I've always been so, wanting to be with the kids and you guys. So, it comes from a good place, me dragging you to the mall. Not because I want to drag you out of the house. It's because I want to be around you guys.
All right.
Because I love you guys. But anyway, yeah, it is hard for me to relax. It really is. But I don't know where that comes from.
I think probably from your childhood.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because a lot of my siblings can relax. I think I'm the most hyper out of all 8 of us.
Probably.
I'm definitely the most hyper and go.
I think all your siblings they like to go, they like to get out of the house. They're outdoorsy.
Yeah. We're just not homebodies at all. Yeah. But anyways.
So the difference, I think, works out at the end.
Yeah. And you help me sort of, sometimes I get a little jealous of you when you're just completely passed out on the couch and you're just relaxing and you zone out and you take a nap, because I can never take a nap. Have you ever seen me take a nap?
Yes.
When? Once.
You were pregnant.
One time.
Yeah.
One time with, my first trimester with Kayla. I took one nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've seen you take a nap during the day.
First trimester is hard on your body. It makes you tired. So, yeah. Other than that, I've never napped in my life. So, but anyway, so let's talk a little bit about our, parenting differences. Your parenting and my parenting, and how do we keep those kids in check?
Well, I think I'm a little bit more strict than you are.
You are.
But you have to reach a certain level, I feel like, for you to really get upset with the kids.
Yeah.
With me, it happens like this. That's okay.
I'm sort of a little pushover with the kids.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I let them not get away with things, but
I'm buy them this and go and buy them that. And
I like to spoil them.
Yeah. Well, that's good, I guess. Sometimes you can't, but I don't think it's a good idea to spoil the kids and give them everything they want.
Yeah.
How about working for what they want? I think that's a great lesson in itself. So that's just the way, I never got anything when I was growing up, and I would tell you that, and you're like, yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we have different mentalities when it comes to raising the kids. I think for me, I like to show like so much affection with the kids, because I grew up with a lot of affection. I remember being like 13 and coming home from school, and my mom would open the door and put me in her lap and give me the biggest hug and like kisses. And so I'm so affectionate with the kids, and I think sometimes it gets on your nerves because I'm so affectionate with Cooper.
No, actually I enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
I was kind of raised the opposite.
Yeah.
I would leave the house at 8 in the morning and come back sometimes at like 5. And it was never a very like huggy household. So that's where the difference lies. But I think, at the end of the day, yes, we have our parenting skills have the same intended goals.
They do. Yes.
So we just want to make sure that we don't ruin the kids by giving them everything they want and thinking like, oh, this is how I'm going to get things. It's just by asking. My thing is, no, you have to work. So like, with Cooper, I want him to work and be committed in things that he does. I want him to get into that habit now rather than trying to teach that habit to him when he's 20.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you can be a little hard on him.
Well, it's good. That's how they get better. It's okay.
I'm more like, it's okay. You don't want to train today. Your leg hurt. All right, honey, just stay home and relax a little bit. And although I'm the total opposite, I push myself to do everything. But with the kids, for some reason, I do cater to them a lot. But you're just like, oh, he's just lying. He's just get him up. Let's go. So you tend to be a little bit more, strict with the kids.
Right.
But the funny thing is, when they do something really, really bad, not that they do anything bad, they're such amazing kids. I think they're great. They really are great kids. But when they do something bad or they're not listening to us, I do threaten them with you.
Great.
When you're not home. I have to say that. I'll say, wait until daddy gets home. And it's funny because growing up, I remember my mom would always say, oh no, just wait until your dad got home. So now I do the same thing because I'm like, I don't want to deal with it.
But does that even work?
And Cooper sometimes will be like,
I don't feel like it works with Kayla at all.
Yeah, Kayla's just very like, nothing's gonna happen sort of attitude. But Cooper does get scared. Like, I think, what did he do last? Oh, when he went on his bike, I think a few weeks back, and he wasn't answering his phone around the neighborhood, and we completely freaked out. Do you remember that? And I had to call Kayla, pull her out of dance class to find his friends' phone numbers or whatnot. He was crying. He was like, please, Daddy's gonna be so mad at me and disappointed. And he does get scared if you're mad. But and I think he gets scared to disappoint me because and when he does something bad, he'll come up like 2 seconds after, and he'll be like, "Mommy, just give me a kiss. Are you hurt? Are you okay? I'm so sorry." Like in the end, they do have good hearts and they're great kids.
Course,
so,
yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about. I want to talk about we forgot to talk about this fortune teller that you had seen a while back.
Oh, this is before you.
Before you met me.
Yeah.
So you kind of like went to this fortune teller and a while before you met me. And what did she tell you?
So, my mom and this fortune teller have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I was just going for fun.
Which we should go see her like pretty
we should.
soon. We should make an appointment.
You went one time.
I went one time to her, and she said some things, and some of it shocked me because I was like, how would she know that sort of thing? She told me stuff about like family stuff, which was kind of, how would she ever know anything like that? But and it wasn't even about me. It was about someone else and the family, which is kind of funny. But I don't know. I get scared because I don't want to know anything in the future. I don't like knowing that.
I want to know.
You do. You're the opposite of me.
Because if something's going to happen, I want to know if it's going to happen.
You want to be prepared.
Do I need to work? So I don't need to work as hard as I thought I was going to need to work. It's just going to happen.
You just want to know, how hard should I work?
So when I went and saw her, you go and it's more for fun for me. Like, at that time I was applying to my residency and I really wanted to get into USC. I had just broken up with my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to get some information. And so she told me, you're going to get into USC and you're going to meet your wife. And her name starts with a G. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is that my ex-girlfriend, her name started with a G. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking she was referring to her, but I'm like, there's no way we're getting back together. Like, she doesn't know about this stuff, but great, I'm going to get into USC. And she told me some other stuff, but she says, particularly this girl you're going to meet, there's something about her eyes. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what, are they like blue? Are they green? What is it? The shape of her eyes are amazing. They're beautiful. So, this is why you should take notes when you go see a fortune teller, because you have to write these things down. So
next time I'll make sure I take notes.
So basically, that's what happened. And obviously you have gorgeous eyes. Your eyes are amazing. This is the one, and after seeing you over and over again, I realized, oh my God, her eyes are just beautiful. Aww. So So that was,
Yeah.
you know, the one thing that stood out with her in regards to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I remember we were in Vegas one time and we were dancing on the dance floor and you kept staring in my eyes. I was like, why is he looking like so deeply into my eyes? Which I thought was funny.
Well, that was, I think, the night that I picked up on, which I remembered
just
when
the
she was
light
saying,
bulb
the light bulb went off.
went off.
And I'm like, oh my God, Guitta, the eyes, the eyes. And she
You're
also
like,
said,
"That's
and
it."
she also said your cheekbones. And your cheekbones are prominent and gorgeous. And so
I know you're always checking out my profile. And it's so funny
it's
because
the orthodontist in me.
the orthodontist, well, you're big on, you know, we'll talk about that, but you're big on profiles all the time and you're always checking my profile out and you're like, oh, it's just symmetrical and your cheeks, and which I think it's funny.
Yeah.
When you pick on my teeth too every once in a while. Well, speaking of profiles, you know, in working together, so I enjoy working with you in the office, and I honestly have learned so much from you because I think you're a pretty, really, really good orthodontist. And beyond that is you also treat the face besides the teeth. So, and I see when you see your patients that you look at their profiles, you look at their lips, you're looking at their nose, you're looking at their chin, and you're trying to make that, accentuate that, make it better. So tell us a little bit about, you know, what you do in the office. And I know it's not just moving teeth and throwing brackets on and braces. There's a fire department walking by, going by. But tell us a little bit about, you know, your extra schooling that you've had for facial aesthetics, and how do you apply that to orthodontics?
You know, you get a certificate in orthodontics. And then in my program, we had a master's in craniofacial biology. I took it a little bit further after I graduated, and I did years of aesthetics. But with aesthetics, you know, you really have to have an eye for it. And a lot of orthodontists just, you know, concentrate on the teeth.
Right.
And they don't realize that what they're doing might harm the patient's profile. So in my practice, you know, the philosophy is I'm going to treat the face first, then I'll treat the teeth. Sometimes, you know, 95% of the time, we're saving teeth. Because I know that if I take teeth out on this specific patient and I close those gaps, we're going to get a little bit of a concavity from the nose to the chin. And so we don't like that look.
Right.
So once in a blue moon, we'll have patients who are really, it's hard for them to put their lips together and they're, you know, very protrusive. Things are sticking out a lot. You know, you're looking at the angle of the nose going to the lip. And so on those patients, you take teeth out and you actually want to flatten them out a little bit. But that's rare. So you really have to have an eye for it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the philosophy in my practice. Also in my practice, one thing that's huge, especially with kids, is airway. You know, why are they mouth breathing? And is this why? Because, you know, mouth breathing is so correlated with habits like tongue thrusting and, you know, having small jaws, especially when kids are growing and developing. So airway is another key component in my practice. We talk about deviated septums, we talk about adenoids and tonsils. So that's the philosophy that, you know, I take in my practice.
Yeah, and you're big on, you know, airways, because a lot of times also with kids, you know, that are younger, a lot of times people think, oh, you know, it's ADHD or whatnot. They think it's, you know, them not having attention deficit syndrome or whatnot. But a lot of it, the kid has, you know, blockage or, you know, big tonsils or adenoids or whatnot, and they're not sleeping properly. They have sleep apnea, so they get up tired. And we had that issue, you know, a little bit with, you know, Cooper, because he had such big tonsils. And I remember him before we did the surgery. he was always complaining he's tired. He would wake up in the morning. He's like, I'm so tired, mommy. I'm so tired. And I was like, well, you just slept like 11 hours. Why are you so tired? And then one night I slept next to him and I realized he has sleep apnea. He would stop breathing and he would start choking. Remember I took that video?
Yeah.
And I showed you the next morning and I said, we need to go see an ENT. Like we need to get these adenoids. And I remember getting him in the office and we took a Ceph x-ray on him and his adenoids
They were big. They were touching his
they were big.
upper skull.
Yeah.
His tonsils were touching each other.
Yeah.
So his airway was absolutely blocked. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he was like that since he was born.
Yeah.
And so, but the minute we got those adenoids and tonsils removed, that
I
night,
remember, yeah.
he slept like a baby.
Yeah, I remember bringing
The
him
snoring
home.
stopped. Mm-hmm. I mean, we couldn't even go on vacation with him.
Yeah.
He snored so loud that I
Yeah.
felt like, my grandpa was sleeping next to me. And so it was life-changing for him. And I'm glad we waited till he was 8, just because I know, how adenoids work. But thank God, he's sleeping beautifully now. He's getting that REM sleep, which all kids should have.
All kids should. But
so, we expanded his arch. We corrected his underbite. I mean, thank God I was his dad.
Yeah. He's lucky. But I remember when we did the surgery on him and we brought him home, I slept next to him that first night and I was literally in tears, crying from happiness because, well, first of all, I was nervous about the surgery and putting him under. But that night, it was the first night, I think, in years that I did not hear him snore. And I was like, I woke up the next morning. I remember coming to our bed and I was like, the whole night he was just quiet. He was breathing normal. And I was so excited about it. And he's so much better, thank God. But you do, and I think you go above and beyond for all your patients. And I have learned so much from you too regarding the bite. So when I'm treating my patients in dentistry, I'm not just looking at cavities and looking at, hygiene and all of that aesthetics. I'm also looking at the bite and the function because that's what makes the teeth, last longer. So, I've learned so much from you and I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank you, honey.
I love having you around to the office.
Well, you're great yourself, I have to say. Your cosmetic work is amazing, and that also changes lives. And that also takes a special eye and a special talent, and you definitely have that.
Well, thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
so sweet. I haven't heard a compliment from you in a long time.
There you go.
Well, I feel like you need to compliment me more.
Okay.
Going forward.
Sure.
Because I feel like I go, above and beyond to look good and like work
you are
out
beautiful.
and dress up and and sometimes you just sort of miss that. Can I just tell you, Cole and Murphy, a story? What happened 2 weeks ago when we went out? So you guys, we go out on date night like every Friday. I make an effort to make reservations and plan and with couples and I had on this like really amazing bodysuit and it took me like an hour and a half to blow dry my hair. It's Friday night and do my makeup, and I come down and you're in the car, right? And do you remember?
Yes.
You remember what happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to sugarcoat everything, right? Like marriage is perfect and relationships are perfect. And Cole, I went in the car and I was like, I'm the hottest thing. I'm thinking in my head, like, he's going to open the car, be like, wow. And I opened the car and he goes, you have so much black on. Do you remember?
I mean, it was all black.
What's a bodysuit? It was sexy
black.
cut out bodysuit. It's one piece, honey.
The only thing that wasn't black which actually would have really stood out, was black lipstick.
Honey, it was like a cut out bodysuit.
Yeah,
I mean.
But I told you, I'm like, you look great. See, sometimes you don't let me finish.
No.
Like I say that first comment and then I want to follow it up, and before I get that second comment out,
don't believe him, Cole. I know he's your guy and you're always rooting. Cole always roots for you. He's like, Mark's my man. I don't know why. I come here every Thursday and Saturday and I shoot. Cole has never said Guitta's like my girl. He's like, Mark's my guy. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean,
Thanks, Cole.
I make an effort.
No, you
right?
absolutely do.
Yeah.
And you look amazing every time we go out.
Well, thank you. So do you. I mean, you've been working out like so hardcore. And before we end this episode, I want to talk a little bit about your diet because you're so strict and really good with your diet. Unlike I'm good, but I let the French fries go and
the ice cream.
yeah. Can we talk about how quiet it is in the house when I walk in from a long day at work? I literally drop my bag and I go straight to the freezer.
Yeah.
And I open up the freezer, and what happens?
Silence.
It's silence in the house.
Because you're in that ice cream carton. God knows what you're doing in there.
And the funny part is Mark knows I'm home because he heard the garage door open and he has heard the door shut. And then he's standing upstairs. He's like, it's been awfully quiet for the last 20 minutes. And he comes down and I've got literally the ice cream carton and I have the
You're
spoon.
going at it.
And I'm going at it. I love sweets.
Yeah.
I love sweets. I'm not very good with my diet like you are, but you're so good. You've been getting up with me at 5 a.m. and working out every morning for the last, year and a half now?
Yeah.
I've been dragging you up in the mornings, and you're good at that now. You get up and you work out with me.
I look forward to it every morning now.
You do, and
Yeah.
you've lost how many pounds?
Like close to 40.
40. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you ate a lot with me when I was pregnant. I
I
gained
was.
43 pounds, and you gained
Same.
you gained 40 pounds
Yeah.
because I was dragging you to Mexican food all the time.
It was kind of pretty awesome because I would come home
Yeah.
and you would say, I'm craving nachos.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows I love Mexican food. So I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to go have nachos.
Yeah.
So
I think secretly there's some kind of Mexican gene in you because
I love it.
The second we land in Mexico, and we go to Mexico a lot, right? We go to Mexico Cabo 3 times a year. And the second that plane just lands, you could just see Mark just relax. He relaxes and you're happy.
I need to learn how to speak Spanish because I think if I did,
Yeah.
there's a good chance I might
And you love
end
Mexican
up moving
food.
to Mexico.
Yeah, I think you would. And Mexican food you can have it every day. You
Yes.
love chips and salsa and everything's
love it.
spicy.
That's my weakness.
Yeah, yeah. And our housekeeper comes and she makes some special spicy, extra spicy salsa.
So good.
And she puts it away and she goes, "That's just for Mr. Mark," and no one's allowed to touch it.
That's right.
But anyway, you look great.
Thank you.
And you look, hot.
Thank you. honey.
Yeah, and you've lost a lot of weight. But tell us a little bit about your diet.
So, first of all, I work out every day.
You do, rain or
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah. Weights, good 40 minutes of weight training, maybe another 10
Yeah.
to 15 minutes of just Peloton cycling. But I also fast.
You fast a lot.
Yeah, but I don't fast every day, but I do fast pretty much every day. So my with this, my story starts at night. My last meal is close to 7-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't eat till 12:31.
Yeah, you don't need till 1 o'clock.
And so my first meal is high fiber, high protein. And so, I know my body weight. I know my BMR. I know how many calories I'm supposed to have in a day. So
You're very good with that.
For me, I've just got it to a point where it's really easy for me to maintain my weight now.
Right.
So,
And you hardly ever eat carbs.
Yeah, unless I'm having, chips
Yeah.
and pizza but it's nothing that I have even every week.
No, you don't. If I'm hungry at work and I say, "Oh my God, I'm craving a good sub sandwich," and you're like, "No, not me. I can't. No, I'll have the sub." Yesterday I went and got a really good yummy sandwich and I had it with Cooper for lunch at my lunch hour. But you would never do that.
No, I go to my usual. I go to my Panda. I go to Panda Express, and I get my greens as my side.
Yeah.
And I get my
Your
teriyaki
meat.
chicken
You're a
and
meat
my
eater.
broccoli beef.
Yeah.
So I have that, and keeps me going till around 6.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I come home and I'm not even hungry, so I have
Yeah.
a couple of protein shakes,
Yeah.
and that's my dinner.
So folks, I love to cook, and I cook almost every night. And I work 5 days a week, but I come home and I cook. But it kind of annoys me sometimes when you spend 2 hours on that stove and perfecting that meal, and for you guys to walk in and have a hot meal and the house smells good, and then you walk in, I'm like, dinner's ready, and you're like, not eating. No, I'm not eating. And it's very hurtful. So I the last month I sort of stopped cooking.
Yeah, well,
And now you guys, are you missing my cooking?
Cooper is for sure.
Cooper's been begging for me to cook again, but
He
I
actually
sort of
told
stopped
me-
cooking because of that.
He told me yesterday that you made it a point to go grocery shopping with him, and,
Yeah.
and you're going to cook for a whole week.
Oh, yes, I did. So yesterday in the
Yeah.
car, he goes, Mommy, I really, really miss your cooking. It's been like a month. And, I've cooked like little things, but not like my main, like stews and Lebanese food and the big stuff. And he goes, we were driving back from somewhere, and he's like, I really miss your cooking a lot. And can we just please just cook together again? And I go, well, Cooper, when I used to cook every single day, you guys complained and you kind of, would say, I'm full, Daddy doesn't want to eat. And, Kayla's like, I'm busy. And so I said, that's why I stopped cooking in the last month, because I feel like you guys don't appreciate it. He's like, no, remember that chicken dish that you made for me like a month ago? I was like, yeah. He's like, can we make it together? I'll go, yes. So I'm going to go back to cooking, but hopefully you'll
Okay.
eat my food again.
Maybe just twice a week.
Yeah.
Even twice a week.
Even twice a week. Well, I know you have to get back to work, right?
Yes.
Are you late for your patients?
I don't think so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But it was such a pleasure having you on. We're going to do this again because we're going to talk about, marriage and into detail.
Sure.
But today I just wanted to have you on, just a really quick sort of little summary of how we met and how we work together. And I'll see you at home.
Yes, I love you.
I love you too. What time are you going to be home?
I don't know.
I'll be home at 5.
5
Ready for
o'clock too.
dinner?
Yes.
All right. I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for coming.
Boy, you know you hit the